Hello and welcome to the Mum Boss Method podcast. This is our very first Mum Boss at Home community check-in. So this is a check-in for all of the ladies on the community, but the massive bonus is that for those of you that aren't in our community, you will get to learn loads from this as well. Don't forget, if you want to join the community, you can find details of how to do that in the show notes, or come and find me on social media at the Mum Boss Method, and you can ask me how you can be part of this awesome community. So we are 1 week in, ladies. We've got 100% check-in rate. Every single one of you has checked in, so well done. I'm super proud of you. What I'm going to do is go through all of the wins, and then we've got some challenges that I want to talk about and some questions to answer. So let's go through these wins then. So Natalie has started daily walking again. It feels great to be out in the fresh air and movement, and she uses that as a catch-up time with a friend. That's brilliant. Well done. It's so good to multitask on our walks and stuff. Taya had a shift in mindset rooted in wanting to be good to herself, which she shared as well. She shared that on Instagram, which was amazing. Jackie getting out and walking and going to boot camp with me on Thursday nights. That was her win. Well done, Jackie. Lisa, she made time for her today after failing to make herself a priority over the last few days and really struggling. So well done, Lisa. Stephanie had a tough day on Friday and felt very stressed in the evening. Her usual response would be to reach for a sweet treat and comfort with food, but instead she did a workout from our member site and had a nice shower and had an early night, and that was such a win because she feels like she can definitely be a comfort eating. She felt so much better for doing some exercise instead. Amazing. Well done, Stephanie. Jamie was really consistent getting her water in, and her effort hasn't been terrible given the rubbish sleep and energy that she's had. She's got a poorly little boy. Sarah has stuck to her calories every day and limited her treats to just the evening, which is what she was aiming to do. And her sugar cravings are already starting to subside. So we don't ban anything in when you work with me. We don't do that, but Sarah was definitely feeling that she was relying too much on sugar. So what she's done is limit her treats so that she really enjoys them. And because she's limiting them, she's finding the sugar craving is subsiding, which I know others in the group are also finding the sugar cravings quite overwhelming. So there is that point around, if you can limit them, then that craving will start to subside. Jackie increased her water intake, and that's a huge thing for her, as she's tried many times but never succeeded. And she's also increased her veg intake, which is amazing because she's a tad picky with her veg. Janet started her calorie tracking. Well done, Janet. Amy's biggest win was eating so much fruit and veg. So well done, Amy. Denise took a good look at her food. That was a massive win. For Lynn, this was the least alcohol she's had in what feels like months. So well done, Lynn. Tracy, her biggest win was upping her steps and exercise with no cravings. Well done. Sona, her win was that 5 days she managed at least 8,000 steps and 3 workouts, which is incredible. Stacey got 8 hours sleep every night. Well done, Stacey. Emma smashed all of her meals and protein goals. Claire, her biggest win was completing 4 of my workouts because she did 2 in one day and keeping to her steps. Now, Claire admits she's not the biggest fan of movement, And this was the biggest goal that she had, was to change how much she's moving, because she's already lost over a stone herself, but she really wants to get and feel fitter and change her body shape. So what she said, I thought this was really important to share. She's bought DVDs and done other home workouts and then never, done them once and then never done them again. But she's finding the at-home workouts within the community are really doable. They're not too long or overpowering, and she finds them just right and great, and she feels great afterwards. So that's amazing. Well done. We have fun in those workouts. She is also a massive crisp monster, and she still allowed herself the odd bag, but not 2 or 3 bags in a day, and she's not craved them. So well done, Claire. Also, it's Claire's birthday, so happy birthday, Claire. Julie has been taking time out for her. So this is massive for Julie because, as she said in her check-in, her son's nearly 20. So she's had 20 years of putting herself last. And she has been putting herself first this week. She decided on Saturday to go for a long walk by herself. She just told her husband what was doing rather than asking if it was okay or asking if he wants to come with her, and not delaying it for any reason. And she said, as she was getting ready to go out of the door, he was talking to her and she just said, right, I'm off, and walked out the door, which is amazing. So it's going to take more than a couple of weeks to get out of the habit and stop using other people as an excuse, but she's taking those actions. So well done. Hannah's made a real focus on nutrition. She's meal planned and pretty much stuck to it, which she should be really proud of, and she was. And she sat Sunday morning doing her meal plan for the next week. So for this week, her water intake has been loads better. She smashed the fruit and veg, had protein mostly with every meal, and she was more organised with meal prep too, like doing things like putting a bolognese in the slow cooker one morning. I love this as well. Saturday night, the kids wanted Domino's, and so they got Domino's, but she had 2 small slices with half a plate of salad. So she's taking that as a win. It was a compromise. She still had the treat and didn't feel she was missing out, and the rest of the family had pizza, but she had less of it, and she made sure that she got her fruit and veg in. I love this. There is no reason why you have to cut things out. And let me just kind of use this as an example as well, right? So with a pizza, tell me, that first and second slice, is the 6th, 7th, 8th slice any more enjoyable than the first or second slice? Are you going to get as much enjoyment out of the last couple of slices of the pizza as you did the first or second slice? Probably no. I would hazard a guess, but you are going to be moving yourself further away from your goals if you eat 7, 8, 9, 10 slices of pizza. So it becomes a bit of a sunk cost, right? Yes, you're eating the whole pizza, but you're moving away from the goals. So I love that. Well done. Laura got protein with every meal and lots of fruit and veg. Natalie managed to increase her steps even when she's not felt very well. Helen feels like she's back in control of what she's eating and her movement, and realised that she does have time for it. And to quote L'Oreal, and I love this, I'm worth it. Love that. She started a daily log, not quite a journal, but I found that writing things down sets them more in my mind, and it's great when I've achieved what I set out to do. Quite a few of the ladies in the community are journaling, and quite a few of them are using the Mum Boss Method self-care journals. So you can get that from Amazon, don't forget, as well as the Mum Boss Menopause Journal. Claire has had more water, more veg, and no caffeine. That was Claire's own conscious choice. She wanted to cut out caffeine. And Emma has increased her fruit and veg. She says it's still easy to slip, but she takes 3 pieces of fruit to work. So that's amazing. Sonal has started off eating healthy and believing in herself that she can do it. And this is huge. I talked about this quite a lot in my 5-day reset. So if you haven't listened to the 5-day reset podcasts that I did from the 1st of January through to the 7th of January, you should give those a listen, because I taught a lot about believing in yourself and proving to yourself that you can do things. Jack stuck to her sleep routine for the majority of the week and cooked a real meal every day with plenty of veg. She overcame a terrible run that she had on Friday with a good one on Sunday with a friend. And Michelle is still doing her lunchtime walk, even though she has felt poop. There's been quite a few ladies not feeling great this week as well. So well done, all of you that carried on despite feeling rubbish. Okay, let's move on to some of the challenges then. So quite a few people's challenge was movement. They didn't get my daily steps in. The barrier is the amount of work I have and not wanting to walk in the dark and the snow. Work days are long, so 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. And by then I'm tired and pulling it together to make myself something to eat that's healthy for dinner instead of ordering in, which is a great win. So already this person is saying, no, right, I've had a long day of work, but I'm going to eat, cook myself a meal rather than ordering takeaway. That's a massive win for me. Great. Then this person has said, I then clean up, I finish any work, and then I'm zonked. So the weekends are where this person can get their movement in. So they plan to do that Saturday and Sunday. And this is a little bit of a theme across a few people, is how work really gets in their way. Now, I know this person is the owner of a very busy business and lives in a location where it is dark, snowy and cold. It's not the UK. So I really understand how difficult it is when you're busy. And, particularly when you run your own business, or you're the only person that does your job, if you don't do the work doesn't get done. What I want to encourage you all to do is consider how taking a short break, so even if it was just 10 minutes, would actually help you to be more productive. So that 10 minutes doesn't have to be, a walk outside. It could just be a step away and maybe a walk around the house if, the weather is really bad. But think about how making that 10 minutes for a little bit of movement is going to make you feel more productive. A lot of us tend to get that that sleepy feeling around 3-4 o'clock. I know I do. And that's when I tend to take Henry out for a walk, because just getting outside gives me a little bit of a boost for the rest of the afternoon. So, I know it's really difficult. I know it's really challenging when you are busy and work is crazy. One of the best pieces of feedback that I ever had from a long-term client was who worked with me on my hybrid program. The best piece of feedback was, I've given her the gift of time, which sounds really counterintuitive, because I'm asking you to think more about what you're eating. I'm asking you to get some movement in. But by taking these little steps to improve your health, ultimately you become more productive and have more time. You get your work done quicker. I know as a business owner that when I have done my workout in the morning, I get so much more done after I've moved my body, which is one of the reasons I will only work out in the morning, because it just makes me so productive for that morning. And how when I get out for a lunchtime walk with Henry, how that makes my afternoon so much more productive. So just think about those things. Okay, so this challenge is that this person had planned their meals for the week, and they got home and their ex, who'd been looking after the children had eaten the food that they'd put aside for themselves. And she was so angry with him that she allowed her emotions to dictate what she ate, which made her feel even more annoyed at herself. And her kind of excuses and question and support that she needs is, how does she pause instead of react? One of the biggest tools that I use in life, and I encourage you to use, is pausing and responding versus reacting. Okay, because we're all so quick to react to things all the time. But pausing is a massively underrated tool. It also takes lots of practice to do. Giving yourself, start by giving yourself to the count of 10. Think about what you really need in this situation, and it isn't food. In that situation, I would say it was likely to be heard and respected by your ex, and that they respect your boundaries, and that they adhere to your boundaries. Now, I happen to know that for this person, this is a long-term situation. It's an ongoing situation that needs to change. One question I would ask you is, how can you be clearer with him on what the boundaries are? This, does it need to be a note? This is the food I have made for myself for when I get home later. Does it need to be a note? If he's not going to listen, a note stuck to that food that you've made. And setting boundaries is really hard, but you can have these conversations with people, and they don't need to become what's the word I'm looking for? Confrontational. This is my boundary and I need you to adhere to it. And the thing is, by not addressing that with someone, you're not showing up for yourself. So, just if I think about the way that this community is set up versus how the work I do with my other clients is set up, I saw messages yesterday. I saw a message yesterday saying that, will we get personal feedback from our check-ins? And I explained that your feedback will come in this way. And that's a boundary I need to set, because my one-to-one clients get a higher level of support on a higher cost program, right? So I need to set that boundary, and that boundary needs to be respected, because otherwise it's not fair on my other clients. And if I don't explain that to everyone in the community and what the difference is with working with me in the community or in one of my other programs, then how can I expect you to understand how this works and understand that boundary? So yeah, I thought that was probably an example I could share. Okay, next one. Eating habits definitely need work. Getting my protein each day and fruit and veg has been a challenge, with only really hitting each target. So either the 100 grams of protein or either the 5 fruit and veg, probably once a day. So what I've put here is that your protein, and this was based off of some questions that I saw in the WhatsApp group this morning as well, your protein, I would love you to be aiming for about 30 grams of protein for each meal. The minimum should be 20 grams of protein for each meal to keep you satiated and full up. And then split your fruit and veg by each meal. So maybe that's 1 portion for breakfast, 2 for lunch, 2 for dinner, or maybe it's 1 breakfast, 1 lunch, 2 for dinner and 1 snack, right? Now, planning is absolutely key, and I saw this come up with quite a few people, particularly with lunch times, because we need to start the day with breakfast, we need to cook dinners for the family, but many of us, and it doesn't matter whether you're working at home or working in an office or whatever, many of you don't plan lunches. And you've said how busy your work days are. So planning is absolutely key here. Utilize the WhatsApp group to share your meals. And I can see that that's been happening, and you can keep doing that. Because that inspires other people. Quite often my clients will say to me, can I have some meal ideas for lunch? Can I have some meal ideas for dinner? And I say, actually use the community, because what I eat and how I eat in my house and in our family is going to be completely different to how you eat. So I will definitely share things that I think are useful or tasty or I've found really nice, but there are 27 other brains in the WhatsApp group as well, so definitely use those. So I can't emphasize enough how important it is to plan your lunches, as well as your breakfasts and dinners. It doesn't matter if you work in the house or out of the house, because what I've seen happening with a lot of you is that lunches are just being missed, or you're just grabbing something quickly. And then what happens is it's likely not enough protein and you'll be hungry for a snack mid-afternoon. Okay, so this challenge is that one of the community's toddler isn't well, so sleep has been horrendous, and was really bad the previous night because he had a temperature. And that's just really difficult because this person is finding that they are just turning to sugar to get themselves through, because coffee stops working. I always say that if I could help people with their non-sleeping children, I would probably be offering an all-round service, right? I can't help with that, unfortunately, particularly when the children are ill. If it's a child that just doesn't like to sleep and they get into your bed, there are definitely things you could be doing around that to change that situation, just depending on whether you want to or not. But when they're ill, it's really difficult. The one thing I would say, and this is like a personal learn for me this week, and it's not so much to do with an ill child because my son is nearly 13, but are we asking the other people in our lives for help? Okay, so this is going to sound really harsh, but it took two people to make that child, right? It takes more than just me or you ladies to run your houses. And I had this, I can share this personal experience from last week, is that I just felt like I was spending so much time organising my husband and my son that I actually went and trained my ladies at boot camp on Thursday night without any dinner, and then didn't eat dinner when I got home because I still had some things that I needed to get done. And that's just something that does not work for me. If I'm underfed, I'm not a very happy person. And, the conversation I had with my husband and my son was, I need help. You cannot assume that just because I work at home all day that I'm going to be the one that is going to do the washing and the dishwasher and all of these things. I already do the food shopping and the cooking and all of that thinking. And we've had this conversation in our WhatsApp group that, I believe that women do the majority of the mental work in any household. So where can you ask for help? And it could be a case of, can you take it in turns? If the little one is ill, can you take it in turns so that one person gets up with him and then the next person does? And I'm sure there's going to be, loops and things here, maybe the baby only wants you when he's ill, but where are we asking for help? If it's not with the sleep during the night, where can we get help during the day? So if you've not had very much sleep, can your husband do the cooking that evening, for example? So asking for help. So a couple of people here have delayed starting on the program, which I'll talk about in a little while. But this challenge, too much alcohol before the program started, and then I went away. And then the comment was also, I've got too many excuses to mention, really. I've not started with the right attitude. So on the members site, there are some resources around goal setting and finding your why. Okay, and I talk about this often, but it's all very well to want to get healthy and want to lose weight if that's your goal, but you need to identify a reason for wanting to do this other than a number on the scales or a dress size or just because I think I should. You need to identify a reason why. And there's someone in this community who has done this work with me in the past, and her why is so strong it makes her cry. So I recommend if you feel like you've not started with the right attitude, you go on that member site and you look at the goal setting section, particularly the document and the exercise finding your why, and really get to understanding why it is that you signed up and why you want to make these changes. Okay. Okay. What else have we got? Okay, this person struggled, not enough sleep. I work late into the evening, sometimes going to bed at 2 a.m. to try and catch up on work. Then I have to be up at 7:15 to take your son to school. You're in a new role with lots of additional pressures due to learning new skills and understanding processes. And so you're not eating meals at regular intervals. You're still often not eating breakfast until 10 a.m. Do I need to get up a little earlier to do this? 10 a.m. then means that lunch and dinner run late. You eat at your desk and often leave it till 3 p.m. each day. So on the breakfast, yes, I would say get up a little earlier and eat it a little earlier. You'll struggle to get all of your calories, all of your protein in if you are missing meals. Okay. And I'm going to come on to the kind of the work thing, because there quite a few of you have said this, so I want to come on to this a little bit in just a second. Okay. So this person said that day 6 and 7, the energy and motivation dropped, and with it, the calories overshot, which further dropped the motivation. Okay, so my question to you is, what happened for the energy and motivation to drop? Was it tiredness? Was it something that happened at work? Was it not planning? Motivation, we need to remember, is not an endless resource, and action will always beat motivation every single time. So I recommend you look at what the trigger was, and this will help you to plan for it happening in the future. Okay, because we will always find that we aren't as motivated. We'll always come up against a bit of a lack of motivation. And if you find, for me, it's sleep. Sleep is key. If I am tired, my motivation for working out and my motivation to do anything is lower. So I know that I need to plan for if I'm going to be tired. I'm going to just pause this a second. Right, I had to pause because the sunshine is starting to shine through the window. And for those of you that want to watch this on YouTube, I think I was disappearing. So yeah, I know when I'm tired. So I know if I'm going to have a particularly late night, maybe I'm going out or something, I need to plan for the next day that maybe my motivation to move might be a bit less, for example. So, if you know that if it was tiredness and you're less likely to work out or overshoot your calories, then why are you tired? Are you not sleeping well? What can you do about that? What can you do to change your sleep? Are you tired because you're not taking any true self-care time? In which case, What can you do about that? So I think you need to do some real thinking and some analysing about days 6 and 7. What was it that led for the motivation to drop? And one of the questions that I ask is, where have you been getting in your own way or making excuses? And this person in particular didn't understand that question. So, this is quite a hard-hitting question, because it's so easy to blame the process. It's so easy to blame other people. It's so easy to blame, what is going on outside of work, outside of the house, the weather, all of these things. But actually, often the biggest barriers to us taking the actions we need are the ones we put up for ourselves. Okay, so where have you been making excuses? And that might be linked to why on day 6 and 7 your motivation and energy dropped. So just for future, this question is really key for you ladies to answer, because we all make excuses for ourselves and we get in our own way. And so this question is designed to make you take radical responsibility. Okay. So this person's challenge was getting in enough steps. She had extremely low energy some days, to the point of sometimes sleeping through lunch, and also struggled to get out during bad weather, and not going to bed early enough. So I'm going to talk about sleep and bedtimes as well in a bit later on. So this person knows that her bedtime is too late. And in particular, last week you had quite a late night one night, but you've also upped your movement, and so sleep is key for you here, absolutely key. And there's so many of you talking about sleep. There's also something else I would like to say. So you need to parent yourselves. Okay, those of you that have got children, think about how you would parent your children in these situations. If you knew that them getting out for a walk was going to be good for them, if you knew that them staying up until 1 a.m. was not going to be good for them, what would you do with your children? When it comes to the weather, and the weather being an excuse for getting out for a walk, there is one of the ladies in this group lives in Canada, and it's currently, I've just checked the weather, it's currently -11. It was like -10 over the weekend, and she got out and she got for a walk. So, unless the weather is dangerous, like thunder, lightning, storms, in this country, it won't kill us. So you can get out for a walk in bad weather. Make sure you've got a hat, make sure you've got a scarf, gloves, and a decent coat, and off you go. You can do it. And also on the sleep. I want you to parent yourself on the sleep. Okay, someone's challenge was weekends, and I recommended my podcast, I think it was episode number, I want to say 86, about weekends and creating structure around the weekend. So if weekends are a struggle, then have a listen to that. Okay, another person struggling with fruit and veg. So again, that's about planning. I know this person in particular doesn't do the cooking. So things that are really helpful that you can just add to a meal that someone else has already cooked. Any kind of frozen veg, because it will literally take minutes to cook. I love handfuls of spinach. So I will often put handfuls of spinach in curries, soups, bolognese, stews, anything like that. I always have frozen veg, and then I always have peas and sweet corn in the freezer. You can get frozen spinach as well. And I don't have a massive freezer, but, and always, something like even just a handful of mixed salad that you can stick on the side of something, and always have fruit to snack on. Okay. A couple of people have said that they've had quite low energy and low mood, and that left them with a low drive to exercise. Remember that low energy and low mood are a reason to exercise, not an excuse. okay, your low energy and your low mood will be improved by moving your body. Okay, it's the number one act of self-care that you can take for yourself. So I want you to get moving. Okay, so this person prefers to write their food down rather than track it on an app, and that's absolutely fine. I do recommend, so this is for everyone, that you are making some kind of note of what food you're eating. Okay, it's data, and if we have the data, we can make changes. What can be measured can be managed. Okay, now Helen, that's in the community, when she first started working with me in my other program, she wrote it down and sent me pictures of it, as she didn't want to track with an app, and I struggled to read her writing. So she started using MyFitnessPal and fell in love with it, because she realised that if it's data, it can be managed. Okay. Okay, so this person didn't start on Monday because they had a really stressful day, and a few of you didn't start for various reasons, like illness, mood, stress. And here's something I really want you to consider. Okay, you might only choose to stay in the community for the initial 6 weeks that you've signed up for, but the habits that you're building are habits that you need to have for life in order to be healthy. So even if you reach your, in quotation, goal weight, it doesn't mean you can stop walking, you can stop working out, you can stop eating fruit and veg and protein and making time for self-care. Those things are for life. So rather than having this "I'll start tomorrow" mindset, I want you to draw a line through that, because that's all or nothing thinking. And instead, okay, I've had a bad day, but what can I do? Like, what is the next action I can take that is really going to help me? Okay, this person feels like the excuse that they have been making is that they're not organised enough. Okay, so this is a huge theme that I'm seeing. I bet you will have your work meetings in your diary. I bet you wouldn't dream of missing a work meeting. So I want you to start start making appointments with yourself, because this stuff doesn't happen by accident. So I want to see you making appointments with yourself to do your food planning, to do your food shopping, to do your workout. I want you to start making appointments with yourself to get out for a little walk, to take some time to read a book for 15 minutes. Okay, you wouldn't miss them if they were work meetings. Why should you make them? Why should you miss them with yourself? So if you aren't organised, get organised. Get organised. It takes 10, 15, 20 minutes at the beginning of the week. I do mine on a Sunday. Get yourself organised. Okay, right, let's go through some of these questions. So sleep, this has come up a lot. This is vital, not just for fat loss, but for health. I'm going to have a slurp of my water. So if you are not getting enough sleep, whether it's you're waking up through the night, or you just can't fall asleep early enough, I want you to look at the reasons why. Okay, is it the kids? Is it stress? Is it noise? Have you had too much caffeine? Are you not winding down? A really key thing to be doing is having a fail-safe bedtime routine, because we just don't wind down enough, right? We do our work day, we get home from work, we do our home stuff like cooking, taking people where they need to be, cleaning up, and then maybe we sit and watch Netflix for a couple of hours, and then we go off to bed, and we expect our minds to just shut down. You need to show your body it's sleep time. Those of you that have got children, those of you that have got animals, those of you that have friends or family that have children or animals, they need routine. They need to know when it's time to shut off and go to sleep and chill. So you need to find a way of doing that for yourself. My bedtime routine is like an hour. I start getting ready at about 9 o'clock. I mean, I start getting ready after dinner if I don't have to go out again, and I put my pajamas on. You need to work out what works for you, because not necessarily what works for me will work for all of you. But I like to go up to my bedroom at 9 p.m. I will brush my teeth, I'll do my skincare, I'll do my HRT, I get into bed, and then I like to read, and I normally fall asleep reading. And if I'm not asleep by 10 p.m, the light goes off, the earplugs go in, and I tell myself it's time to sleep. So this person isn't able to exercise. One of the people that is struggling with sleep isn't able to exercise as much at the moment, and that will also be affecting your sleep. But use things like sleep meditations, yoga nidra. There are plenty of apps out there in YouTube where you can listen to those for free. Quite a few of you, though, need to work on resetting your sleep patterns a little bit, and not being up till 1-2 a.m. in the morning. And the way that you will do that is by setting an alarm for a bit earlier. You might want to start with 10-15 minutes earlier, and going with that for a week, and then trying to get that to make you more tired so that you go to sleep earlier. If you are working till 2 a.m. in the morning, then that, that's a completely different kettle of fish. And one of the things that I think it's similar to kind of not taking a break in the middle of the day when you should be, because you just keep thinking, oh, I've got all this work to do. What should I do? Like, oh no, I won't do my walk. I'll just carry on and get this work done. And this works with skipping lunches, but also not going to bed on time, right? I understand how easy it is to do that. The pressures of work, and I honestly can't work out whether it's harder for me now that I'm self-employed and this is my business, or if it was harder when I worked for someone else. I can't work it out. But I always used to tell myself when I worked in retail before I just ran my business that, and I'll be honest, I tell myself it now sometimes, it's not life or death. If you took a 15-minute lunch break, would anyone die? And I mentioned this before, you'd probably be more productive if you moved away from your desk. And the same goes for going to bed at a decent time. I get it that you've got high pressure jobs, some of you are in new jobs, you've got senior jobs, but there's a cost benefit. Okay, so you're staying up till 2 a.m. working. How productive are you being in your job? Would be my question there. Okay, a couple of you have said that you're finding it hard to get calories in. Some of you are doing time restricted feeding or intermittent fasting. I would actually call what most of you are doing time restricted feeding. Intermittent fasting will be a much smaller feeding window, more like 4 is one of the most extreme I've seen, but 4-6 hours feeding window. So a lot of you are doing a time restricted feed, and that's just where, for those of you that don't know, that's just where you are not eating after a certain time, and then you're breaking your fast at a certain time in the morning. Now, we all do that when we sleep. Because none of us, as far as I know, wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning to eat. If you are shortening the window in which you eat, you will struggle to get your calories and your protein and your fruit and veg in. So the question to ponder is, why are you doing it? And is it working for your goals? So for some of you, you might be saying, I'm not eating after 8 p.m, right? Because I'm an evening snacker, and if I just set that hard rule for myself that I don't eat after 8 p.m, then it's a rule and I won't break it. If that's working for you, great. But if you're saying that you're going to do a time restricted feed, but you're still overeating on snacks and in the evening, then I would argue it's not working. Because we naturally fast when we sleep anyway. So I think one of you is doing like an 8 p.m. to 10 a.m. fast, that's about normal. I stop eating at 7 just because we've normally had our dinner by 6:30, and if I have a little pudding, that'll be at about 7, and then I don't eat my breakfast until 9 a.m. So it's about the same, and that's natural. We naturally fast when we sleep, but if you are pushing your breakfast back too late, you will struggle to get in your protein, your veggies, and your calories. So here's some thoughts about some breakfast ideas that might help you. Before that, if you're fasting for fat loss and it's working or not working, there's some questions there. If you're fasting because you think that that's going to be, something magical for your metabolism, you fast when you sleep anyway. So I would argue you don't need to start eating that late. You can eat a little bit earlier. Some ideas for breakfast, because I know a few of you were struggling with breakfast, but again, use the WhatsApp group. Smoothies. So what about smoothies or a couple of boiled eggs that you could prep the night before? You could eat those at your desk. Protein yogurts, Greek yogurts, things like that. If you're hugely going under your calories, a couple of things might happen. So your energy will be low, but it can also lead to a binge. So if you are finding that you're regularly, 200, 300, 400 calories under, try just eating a small snack that's quite high in calories. So something like some cheese or some nuts or some nut butter. So a tablespoon of nut butter is around 100 calories. So have a few of those if you're regularly coming under. Right, some great questions here around thoughts on running versus walking for getting your steps in. You've dabbled with running previously and you don't love the thought of it at the time but feel good for it after, but you've always felt like you've had a better weight loss results from walking. Okay, great question. So strip this back. Running's a cardio exercise, and we've got some runners in the group, and I would expect them to keep that in. Cardio is good for our health. Okay, it's good for our heart and lungs. So we should definitely be having some cardio in there. If you're doing the workouts with me, they will include cardio as well, because you'll notice you might get a bit breathless. But the most effective movement for fat loss is general movement and steps. So your NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Okay. Does this mean don't run? No. If you want to include running, you enjoy running, then do. But will it give you a better result for fat loss? No. It has less impact on your energy expenditure than walking. Okay. Question 2, I've never looked at things such as protein shakes. Are these worth including in my daily intake to get my protein levels up, or am I just upping the protein with my meals? Great question as well. So protein shakes and protein products will help you supplement your protein for sure. You've got protein yogurts, puddings, mousses, all of those things. I include either protein powder or a protein yogurt every day, because I don't eat meat and I find it helps me get to my protein target. I actually don't like drinking a protein shake. I prefer chewing my food. So I mix mine with my yogurt for breakfast. So as a supplement, yes, absolutely use it. But there's a lot to be said for just eating larger quantities of protein with each meal. So for example, if you're currently having 100 grams of Greek yogurt, I would up it and make it 200 grams for your breakfast rather than relying on the supplements. So maybe try increasing your portions of protein first before you then bring in the supplements. If anyone does want any supplement recommendations, I can make some. Okay, and then you've had a couple of days a week where you haven't hit your calorie range. So I've kind of answered this in the previous one, but the other thing I wanted to say is kind of look at your calorie range as a bit of a balance across the week. So let's say, for example, I've given you a top range of 2,000 calories a day. That's 14,000 calories a week. Okay, so you might eat 1,600 on 2 of those days, meaning that you've got some calories to use extra on a couple of days later in the week. You don't have to eat exactly on your range in the day. It's an average over the week. Okay. Okay, so reaching for sugar when you're not getting sleep. So that is part of what our body does, is it wants us to have sugar and high calorie, low nutrient dense food when we're very tired, because it wants to turn it to energy really quickly. The answer is more sleep. I know that the person that's asked this is struggling to get more sleep, but also, movement and great food help you to build that resilience of not getting enough sleep. I had a terrible night's sleep last night, and whilst I wouldn't function if that happened to me night after night after night, because I move my body, because I fuel it with great food, I'm a bit more resilient to being tired. Okay, I feel like I was pretty much up every hour last night. And asking yourself, pausing and asking yourself in the moment, what do I need right now? Is it a bar of chocolate, or is it 5 minutes of fresh air outside? Okay. Okay, I've talked about sleep. How to cope with going out and portion control. I hate leaving food. So I'm going to upload a portion control guide, an eating out guide to the member site later on this week. But check in the nutrition guide. You've got a portion control guide that helps you to use you can use your hands almost to guesstimate your food. When you're out, order your food based on, the protein and the veg, and don't be afraid to ask them to make changes to what they've made you. So, if you've ordered a steak and it comes with chips, can you say to them, could I have boiled potatoes and salad instead of the chips, for example? Okay, on the don't like leaving food, I would imagine a lot of you feel this way because we're all taught, don't leave food on your plate. There's children starving somewhere in the world. This was ingrained into a lot of us. I want you to remember this. You are not a bin. You are not a bin. You've already wasted the food by buying or ordering too much. So all you are doing is, again, it's that sunk cost. Okay, it might not be wasted and sitting there on your plate looking at it, but by overeating on it so that you don't feel like you've wasted it, you have stepped further away from your goals. Now, this is a mindset shift and it does take a while, but remind yourself, I am not a bin. Okay, so there was a question here. My body's aching. I feel very tired in the morning, some days more than others. I don't know if I should work out. I absolutely would encourage you to do a workout. You're already making massive changes to your diet for this person. So well done. But yes, I want you to move your body. So start small. You don't have to come to a live workout. I wouldn't start with the cardio one. I would start with a weights one, maybe just do it body weight, and, promise yourself that you're going to try for 10 minutes. And then next time you do it for 12 minutes. So start small. Okay, this person wants meal ideas. They're struggling with inventive evening meals. So my question to you is, why do your evening meals need to be inventive? So why is it that we think we need to be a 5-star Michelin 5-star chef or whatever it is? Okay, most households have a repertoire of about 14 meals that they circulate, and that's fine. Okay, my recommendation is keep it simple. keep it simple. Yes, it's nice to add in the odd recipe here and there. And, you know, I'm going through a phase of this at the moment, is every week I try and cook something new, but keep it simple. So when I say 40, you know, we have 14 meals, one of those might be with mincemeat. And from mincemeat, you might get spaghetti bolognese, chili, shepherd's pie, and then meatballs, because they're a form of mincemeat, right? So from mincemeat, you've got 4 meals, and you could say, right, this week's mincemeat is going to be the shepherd's pie, next week's is going to be the chili, the week after that is going to be the bolognese, okay? If you're, you know, think about chicken breast or vegan alternatives to chicken breast, what the cluck is my favourite. Okay, what can we do with a chicken breast or a what the cluck? We can make fajitas, we could make a curry, we could make burritos, we could make I'm struggling now to think of chicken. We could make a stir fry, we could make a Thai green curry, you know, all these different things. So you know, you've got one main ingredient of protein, which is what I want you to base all your meals around, and then you can do all these different things with it. So yeah, keep it simple. And for everyone, I recommend that you eat the same breakfast every day. Don't tell yourself the story that you'll get bored of it, even if you rotate it every week. So this week is yogurt and berries, and next week is, I don't know, scrambled eggs. You have 1 or 2 lunches that are your go-tos, but you could also use leftovers from the night before, and then have like 7 to 10 meals that are in your repertoire that you circulate and are high protein, and you can add fruit and veg. But also remember to use the WhatsApp group. Okay, I was really pleased that this question came up. So I'm short on my calorie intake. If I'm not hungry, shall I just accept it? I was once told if you don't eat enough, your body will go into starvation mode and hold on to it as fat. Okay, let's really think about starvation mode logically. If there was such a thing as starvation mode, would there be actual starving people in the world? No. Actually, what happens if you undereat on your calories consistently is that you're more likely to overeat on other days, which is why you then don't lose weight. But you'll also have less energy for workouts and movement. So I've given some tips on how to just boost your calories by 100 or 200, but also for this person in particular, you need to start eating earlier in the day. Okay, so getting up a bit earlier and not starting your eating at 10 and then having lunch at 3. Okay, time management. Someone said time management with shorter days, don't like walking in the dark. So this person's actually ordered a walking pad, which is great. But time management is all about planning. Okay, there are so many time management tools in the world, but actually it's about planning. Shorter days are definitely harder to get your steps in, particularly for those of you who don't have dogs, and maybe you can't use, it's not accessible for you to get a walking pad. But think about this as, where can I add in 10 minutes of movement? Even if it's not a walk outside for 10 minutes, can I walk around the house for 10 minutes? Can you do some walking workouts on YouTube? There's one, Fit with Rick, and he has 10-minute, 5-minute, 20-minute walking workouts where you can just get your steps in the living room. But like I say, this person has got a walking pad now. Okay, so there was a question around top 3 tips to stay focused and on track when the day throws you a curveball. So I need a bit more detail on this, and I would say on the whole, most people's answers in check-in and questions were really detailed. There was a few of them where you've just given me one sentence. It's really hard for me to give you tools if I don't understand the what's going on. Now, hopefully you'll understand from this first online check-in that I'm not going to mention any names when you're talking about the challenges and excuses, so you can give me a bit more detail. But what happens to you when there's a curveball? Do you go into emotional eating? Has this meant this week that you've ate in a different place? Because life will always throw us curveballs, right? Today in this house, everyone's got an upset tummy. So everyone is home. which has thrown me a curveball in what I need to do, because I need to look after Charlie. I need to make sure Tom's okay, all of that. So it will always throw us a curveball, but rather than let that curveball throw you off and make it a bad day, how can you make the bad day better? So, okay, you didn't eat your planned lunch, and maybe that meant you didn't get enough protein, you didn't get enough fruit and veg. What can you do in terms of your dinner to make sure you hit that? Okay. And remember that, I guess my last tip is, there is no track, right? So you've put here, stay focused and on track when the day throws you a curveball. There is no track. Just draw a line under it and make the next decision count, and be okay with change, because things can, will, and often will go wrong. Okay. So someone asked if having just a protein smoothie was okay for breakfast because they really struggle for eating in the morning. Absolutely fine, not a problem at all. Again, breakfast choices, look in the nutrition guide. I eat pretty much the same breakfast and have done for years and years and years, so utilise each other. But some suggestions: Greek yogurt, protein porridge, chicken sausages, protein yogurts, smoothies, eggs. Someone said that they're using my journal to plan, so that's amazing. Well done. Helen asked where my frying pans are from. So my frying pans are Tefal. Tom got them from me. I think he ordered them from Amazon. I use my What most days, and I don't need to use oil. Maybe occasionally I might use some 1K spray, 1 cow spray. The trick is to get them hot enough, especially with things like a stir fry. You said that you burnt turkey bacon today, and it was hard to then get that off of your pan. Remember that turkey bacon is really low in fat and probably got added water to it, so it is likely to burn without a little spray. But I don't cook it, so I wouldn't know. But a good pan. Okay, someone's asked, is there an ideal time for breakfast? So breakfast time is completely a personal thing. So I get up between 5 and 6 a.m. and I don't eat until 9 a.m. after I've trained. But that's just because that's what I prefer. If I was up a little bit later and not training, I might eat straight away. The thing I would caution you against is if you are leaving eating your breakfast until really late, that is going to make it more difficult for you to get your protein and fruit and veg and hit the right calories. Okay, what's more important? Moving, so getting the steps, or doing the exercise sessions, or both? So ideally both, but think about the intention behind both. We don't exercise to burn calories. And if you're doing that, I want you to stop. We exercise to get us strong, to make us healthier. And if aesthetics is important to you, then it's to make you look toned. Okay. But getting your steps in is a way of increasing your energy expenditure through your NEAT, which I've already talked about. And, obviously then all the benefits of getting outside for a walk, etc., etc. So the goal is to make both a habit. So look at your goals, but also look at the big picture of your week. For example, if it was Thursday and you've already got 3 workouts in, and today you only have time for either a workout or your steps, pick your steps because you've got 3 workouts in. Okay. Right. Training around your menstrual cycle. Okay, so I left this one to last on purpose because it's quite a big one, but research has really shown us a different approach. So a few years ago, there was this big thing, and you might see this on some influencers page, that, when you're on your period, don't train. And when you're in your luteal phase, this is when you should train like this. And when you're, actually, every woman is different. So what I would say is track your cycles. If you're not tracking your cycles, ladies, you should be tracking your cycles. and train in a way that feels better for you. So this person has running goals. They're running a marathon this year. And so running is obviously quite a big priority. So, but also so is getting strong and lifting weights. So if this person is also perimenopausal and having very irregular periods. So what I would say is that you need to make these decisions on a case-by-case basis. So if you are due to go out for a run, a long run, and you have terrible period pains and your energy is low, can you shorten that run? Do you need to go on that run? Could you make it tomorrow? So track your cycle, but also track your energy levels, because if you notice you feel more or less tired at certain times in your cycle, then adjust your training to feel like that, to meet that, which is harder when you're having irregular periods. I know this because I was having ridiculously irregular periods until I had the Mirena coil put in September. So for me, on the days I was in pain, I actually found I needed to do a bit of movement to help. But I probably also needed to accept that if I was going into the gym, I wasn't going to be lifting any PBs. Okay. And I wouldn't have done a run maybe or anything really intense. And yes, you can feel weaker on some days as well. So don't just track your cycle and your symptoms, but track your energy levels as well. And again, for those of you that are perimenopausal or suspect you are, my perimenopause or my menopause journal has symptom trackers in it. And if you're having irregular periods, one of the best things that you could do is to try and manage that. So again, I would speak to your GP, but there is now no research that says you should lift heavy weights at this point in your cycle and you should do your running at this point in your cycle. It is all down to the individual. Oh my goodness, that was awesome. I'm so chuffed that we got 100% check-in rate, ladies. Please make sure that we do this again. So let's get 100% check-in later. Next week. If you have enjoyed this and you've found it useful, please share it on your social media. And like I said, if you would like to join the Mum Boss at Home community, please drop me a little line on social media. All my details are in the show notes. I will speak to you later. Mwah. Bye.